Hi, I'm Gabriel and this is Learning English Path. And in this lesson, I'm going to teach you punctuation symbols in the English language. Punctuation symbols in the English language. Everything that you need to know. Let's get started. I wanted to start with a letter that I've seen a few times. I'm not actually sure where it came from, but there are two versions of this letter. And I remember actually my English teacher, when I was a teenager in school, giving this letter to us. She gave half of us this letter and half the class another letter with the same words, but it was a different meaning, and I'll show you why. So it goes like this. Dear John, I want a man who knows what love is all about. You are generous, kind, thoughtful. People who are not like you admit to being useless and inferior. You have ruined me for other men. I yearn for you. I have no feelings whatsoever when we're apart. I can forever be happy. Will you let me be yours? Harriet. Now, let's take the very same words and change the punctuation around, all right? So here is another version of the letter. Same words, different punctuation. Dear John, I want a man who knows what love is. All about you are generous, kind, thoughtful people who are not like you. Admit to being useless and inferior. You have ruined me. For other men I yearn. For you I have no feelings whatsoever. When we're apart, I can forever be happy. Will you let me be yours, Harriet? Very different letter, right? Very different meaning. Although they are the exact same words. So this is why punctuation, my friend, is so important. And we're going to look at all of the punctuation symbols right now. So this one is called a full stop in British English and a period in American English. You probably know this one by now. I broke the rules. It ends a sentence, right? That's all it does. It ends a sentence. It's a full stop. Next one. Question mark. I broke the rules, right? So here we have I broke the rules. I broke the rules. It's a question. Now, usually a question would have a question word at the beginning, right? Did I break the rules? Who broke the rules? Right? It could be a closed question, an open question. But sometimes it's simply an echo. You don't need a question word at the beginning. I broke the rules! Exclamation mark or an exclamation point. All right. This is when someone is shouting, right? Or raising their voice. I broke the rules. And by the way, you can have a question mark and an exclamation mark together. So you could say, I broke the rules? An ellipsis mark. So this has a couple of different functions. Firstly, I broke the rules, and then this person is trailing off, right? Starting to kind of wonder. He stops his sentence short. And the next one, it could be, so I broke the, and then the person talks for a long time and then finishes with rules. So I broke the the old-fashioned, terrible, crazy rules, right? And even longer than that. But the ellipsis just gets rid of all that stuff and as if it's not important, right? And goes with rules. A comma is I broke the rules, which was wrong, right? So you have seen a comma many times. It usually breaks up the main clause from a subordinate clause, okay? So the main clause is I broke the rules, and then which was wrong. This is subordinate to the main clause. All right, so it means you cannot have this part by itself. You can only have this main clause by itself, but you cannot, this is not a whole sentence. So you need a comma. Well, you can do it without the comma, actually, in certain circumstances. But in this case, and this is getting a little bit more complex, but we will talk about relative clauses and that kind of thing in another lesson. Semicolon. So this is when you want two parts that could both be main clauses together. Okay, so if you were to, you could not put a comma here. I broke the rules. I was wrong. You should either make this two sentences or use a semicolon or a colon or an em dash, but you can never put a comma here because this is you cannot use a comma between two main clauses, all right? And these are both main clauses. So a semicolon is fine. A colon is slightly different from a semicolon because a colon is pointing to the next clause, all right? It is like saying, so it's I broke the rules. I said a bad word. So it is telling you what rules I broke, right? In this one, you can make it two sentences, and you're not, I was wrong is not really telling you about the rules that I broke. But when I say I said a bad word, I'm actually describing to you the rules that I broke, right? And now I'm going to talk to you about three different punctuation symbols in a row. So together. Here we have the hyphen. This is the N dash. And this is the M dash. Okay, hyphen, N dash, M dash. And they all have different purposes. So the first one is used in a word, all right, as part of a word. So I broke the well-known rules. I broke the old-fashioned rules. I broke the cold-hearted rules, right? It's when you have a word that includes a hyphen. The second one, I broke the rules from 9 to 5. This is used instead of the word to, right? So you can use it in with time a lot. 9 to 5 or 1990 to 2010, right? Numbers and dates. And then the last one is an M dash, is when you use it as part of a sentence. So I broke the rules and so did you. All right. So it's kind of, imagine you're suddenly, you want to add something, So you said I broke the rules, and you want to quickly add a point, all right? And you want to emphasize it. Now, I really like using em dashes when I'm writing. I like to use it as a form of emphasis, actually. And so did you. See, it's kind of catchy. An apostrophe. Now, this has a couple of different uses. The first one is when you're using it as to indicate a possessive. So I broke the teacher's rules. So the teacher, the rules belong to the teacher. Maybe the teacher made the rules. So I broke the teacher's rules. Maybe you could say, I broke my friend's pen, right? One friend. You would not say it, you would not use it like this if you had many teachers who all had the same rules, right? That would be the teacher's rules. And then this one is used as a contraction, right? So instead of saying I did not break the rules, you say I didn't, and you need the apostrophe to indicate a contraction here. Speech marks. This is when someone is talking. So, I broke the rules, she said. And by the way, you should always include a comma inside the speech marks. And then you have single quote marks, and these often get confused. The quotation marks and the single quote marks. So you could say, he told me that I broke the rules, she said. So if you need to quote someone inside of a quote, then you don't use speech marks twice. You use speech marks and single quote marks here, because she, who is talking, she is talking about what someone else said. So he told me that I broke the rules, she said. In British English, we call these brackets. In American English, it's parenthesis. So I broke the, and then in brackets, silly rules. All right? Or maybe you would say, I broke the rules, and then in brackets, 3 times. Right? It's kind of an aside. Right? Also, square brackets or box brackets. This is used when someone has talked a lot, and in writing, you just want to simplify it. You want to simplify what they said. You want to summarize what they said. So instead of saying, I broke all the regulations and all the policies and all the rules about blah, 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 you might say just, I broke, in writing, I broke, and then, the rules. You don't need to put everything they said. You just want to summarize what they meant. A slash or a forward slash. I've even heard it called a forward dash. So here, it basically means or, right? It's like, I broke / bent the rules, right? It's kind of like, well, you might say I broke the rules, or you might say I bent the rules, right? I broke / bent the rules. And finally, we have the asterisk. So I broke the rules, asterisk, and then at the bottom of the page, you come back to a further point that you wanted to make, but it's not important enough to say it here. But you put a little asterisk here, and then at the bottom of the page, or maybe at the end of the chapter, you include a little footnote that says, I only realized this much later. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And make sure you click that bell so that you know when I publish a new free lesson here on YouTube. And if you want to learn English with songs, then don't forget to click the link in the description to get my free PDF guide to 101 songs to learn English. I have hundreds of exercises for you to study English, English grammar, English vocabulary, English idioms, practice your English listening, and even your speaking while listening to the very best songs to study English with. All right. And when you get it, then you also get my weekly email with 5 words of the week, where I teach you another 5 words every single week so that you continue to take your English language learning to that next level. All right, my friend, I'm Gabriel Wallace. Keep learning and keep going.